Oh, boy. I have not been looking forward to this, but this is a Band-Aid I am so glad I ripped off. Fire Emblem Warriors. 4 sessions, no cheats. It's not even cheesing it with the other file. You know how bad this is. Negative 65 to story, and it was negative something to gameplay. Negative 53 to gameplay. I hate this game. Let's get into it. Let's start with what few positives there were, as I only had 8 story positives, which is pitiful from me. As you'll see when we get to the Soden, well, actually the Rondo and Soden rating videos both. Actually, what's funny is that I also have to record Reach, don't I? Oops. Anyways, so yeah, let's just get into it. This was a positive and negative scenario. Some of the characters are well voiced, others not so much. Camilla's victory animation basically is awesome in the way that it mocks the way Camilla was like framed in Fire Emblem Fates proper. Like when we get to Fire Emblem Fates proper, I'm gonna basically be looking at Fates and going, "What the fuck?" Right? So there you go. So yeah, that was good. I did like the Lissa is going to be my mom bit. That was funny. The rest of the scene though was really bad. As we'll get into in the negatives, I'm pretty sure I gave that scene a negative overall. Now, I did go ahead and give a triple positive to the War Council scene at the start of Chapter 17. I thought it was easily the best scene in the game with great interactions and character beats. Like, if this was the norm for scenes in this game, God, this game would be amazing. Instead, this is the single outlier. And those supports you have to grind to. We'll get there in the gameplay negatives. Ugh. And admittedly, I do think the ending is kind of nice. And that's it. That's the only positivity I can throw at this story. Let's get into the 73 negatives. Alright. So, this one will probably seem pretty petty. But I fucking hate this roster, even from a story perspective. The amount of Fire Emblem Fates characters is frankly fucking disgusting. And I honestly feel like you could have just had maybe 2 of each of the royal family and then Corrin in there, and then that would have sufficed, right? But no, this thing had to have all 4 of the royals on each side, plus Corrin, plus Azura, plus a Niles, plus a Boro, with I think either the latter 2 or the latter 3 all being DLC. Are you kidding me with that garbage? So, yeah, no. It also is not helped by the fact that the external continuity is just plain bad. There are moments that are just aping plot points from other Fire Emblems without paying proper respect to those games, with Sacred Stones getting it the absolute fucking worst, because this story might as well be a giant middle finger to Sacred Stones. And considering that Sacred Stones is currently my highest rated Fire Emblem game, yeah, you can tell how I feel about that. There's the negative for some characters being well voiced and others not. And then I decided that there was 2 performances that I felt were actual negative worthy performances, which actually kind of made me sidestep giving the old dub of Castlevania Symphony of the Nights, it's Dracula, a negative. He just didn't get any positives. Positives, right? First up on the chopping block is Lucina. I can tell that Alexis Tipton is trying. Bless Alexis Tipton. She is fucking acting her ass off, trying to make the direction she's being given work. But the problem is that she's being directed to imitate Laura Bailey, and I think it works best if she's not trying to imitate Laura Bailey. I've heard her as Lucina in later stuff, and it kind of works better if I'm more seeing her, if her portrayal feels closer to some of her other characters rather than just specifically Laura Bailey as Lucina. Here it just sounds so flat and dull, and it hurt. It hurt me to type that negative. Speaking of which, Camilla, Misty Lee. Okay. Much like with Alexis Tipton as Lucina, I know that Misty Lee gets better as Camilla. I've played Fire Emblem Engage, and I have a lot of problems with Fire Emblem Engage. Alexis Tipton as Lucina and Misty Lee as Camilla are not on that list at all. Oh, so yeah, no. They are, because here's the thing. Yes, I gave their performances negatives, but the voice direction as the triple negative right under them indicates is the biggest problem with that. The problem is that every inflection feels wrong, which I could say about Hinoka, but then it's the same actress, and I was like, what? Ugh, but whatever. I'll take the L on that, because I initially thought it was a different voice actress. It was not. Nobody called me out on it. Anywho. Empty text. Just empty text everywhere. Like, nobody's saying anything important for so much of the dialogue. It's just painful. It sucks. Triple negative there. Fake drama all throughout this entire game. Triple negative. And then I also gave so it was actually basically 5 negatives for fake drama. 3 general ones, and then 1 each for the Hoshiden and Nor arcs. Because of the whole, you're trying to capture my sister! No, we're not. What? No, we're not. We don't want to fight you. Who? I will fight you anyway! We beat the said sibling. We beat the siblings. Siblings? Oh, you're not actually trying to capture my sister. We fucking said that earlier! Gah. And the stupid part is that, I'm sorry, I only buy that level of stupidity from... No, I don't. You know what? I'm not even gonna accept that level of stupidity from fucking Takumi, because Takumi's supposed to be a brilliant tactician. Ditto Leo. So why the hell are they so fucking stupid in this game? I mean, Takumi, I know, has some pretty crap things, but that's just because of what the story does with Takumi in Fates, right? Specifically Conquest, but you get the idea. The lack of support conversations is just plain unacceptable. This is a negative I will probably be giving Radiant Dawn, but I have to dig into that a little bit more to really see, because that could be pulling it technically. Story sequencing is just bad. And it really feels like it's all over the place. The presentation of the cutscenes that are not the pre-rendered scenes. God, it's so bad. Even for an early Switch game, this is just bad. Like, I'm sorry. It's understandable on the 3DS. but it's unacceptable on the fucking Switch, you know? Then there's the pacing, which is just really bad. There's other times, sometimes it's way too slow, and then other times it's way too fast, and it feels like there's no flow to the pacing, you know? And of course, I went ahead and gave the padding a triple negative, because seriously, what the fuck? With the Fates arcs in particular being repetitive clusterfucks, so four negatives for padding. Then there's the writing, which is honestly the worst I've ever seen. And granted, I do need Steve to get farther in Radiant Dawn. To determine if that or this is worse, but yeah, no, it's still a triple negative here, regardless. Gameplay story segregation is just rampant in this thing, as I honestly feel they weren't even trying to kind of tie it together. So yeah, triple negative there. 41 presentation negatives. That's some of the worst we've had in a while. Then we get into the characters, and oh lord, the characters are bad. It's mostly just the original characters. Rowan is, in my opinion, and also said without Tokyo Mirage Sessions under my belt, Rowan is, without playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions, the worst Lord/MC in the entirety of Fire Emblem. And I don't even think Tokyo Mirage Sessions can have a worse protag than this fucker. This fucker has no personality to him. He has no depth, and the only characterization the only character growth we get from him is if we grind out the fucking supports. That's fucking horse. That's fucking horse shit. Rowan is my pick for the worst. Worst, bar none. And his sister is no better. As Leanna is just as whiny and full of herself as her brother, and feels like she undergoes also zero growth, honestly. She also rejects the throne and never gives a reason for it. So we're just supposed to accept that. And then somehow they both are accepting of their position on the throne. What? Okay, really? Did I miss something? Ugh. And then there's Darius, who's just bland and uninteresting as a character. I kind of hate him. Then there's the game's use of the legacy villains. They show up for like 1, maybe 2 chapters, and then they're for like 2 chapters each, and they're gone, and they don't even have that much relevance to the overall plot. They're just working for the enemy. That's it. I don't buy that I especially don't. In fact, it even goes in the order of how willing to do that I would argue they are. They would be in character willing. Valadar is the absolute worst. He would never work. He would never be a servant. Iago might, because he's just a fucking pissant that'll kowtow to whoever's stronger. And Garneth would be pretending to, and would actually try to take over himself. So, yeah, the legacy villains are not well used. The premonition chapter is terror. So that's it for the character stuff. Frickin' 10 negatives by itself. God. Now let's get into the moments/chapters that sucked. Premonition, terrible flash forward. Or not the worst I've ever seen, but definitely bad. Here's the reveal of Lucina. This is where Owain says, long story short, Lissa's gonna be my mom. I still don't like the scene in general. It's kind of bad as it tries to be simultaneously humorous and as heartfelt as the scene from Awakening where Crom finds out the truth about Lucina. And despite the antics with Owain being funny, the scene itself is just kind of shitty. You know? Because we actually had time to kind of stew on the fact that, Marth was a woman and that and kind of hint at what was happening, what was happening. The reveal of Lucina from Awakening, which I do intend to review at some point, is freaking brilliant, and I'm going to be giving like all of the props to the foreshadowing in that. Absolutely. So, the intro, which I chop at the end of chapter 5, which incidentally ends the Awakening arc, is not the worst I've ever seen, but it's still full of just bad story beats, some of which are taken directly from the games that did them way better. So yeah, negative for the intro. Then there's Hinoka fighting us to save Sakura, which is just plain fake drama. I guess technically this is a sixth fake drama, but whatever. And then 7th if you want to count Takumi, 8th if you want to count Camilla, and 9th if you want to count Leo. I really hated the Fates arc, can you tell? Then there's Darius being captured, which is ridiculously predictable, complete with Takumi literally calling it at the start of the very chapter it happens in. And I'm not even joking. He literally says at the beginning, and I quote, "I've got my eye on you, Darius. Let's see if you can be trusted." Ugh. And then this one might actually cock some eyebrows. But I stand behind this 1,000%. And I will die on this fucking hill. Marth's arrival is a triple negative. I'm just gonna read my note word for word, because I think I summed it up better in the note than I could just explaining it. Because so I crapped on Darius getting captured, and then there's Marth's arrival. What the actual fuck? And yes, that question was in all caps because I was legit fucking pissed. I was surprised how much I was pissed. Now, part of that could have been going through Shadow Dragon and New Mystery with Steve, but god damn it. This is the Hero King. Sure, most FE fans don't think Marth is that great. Hell, Marth himself agrees with that assessment. But it still feels like more honor should be paid to the man that started the franchise. The disrespect on Marth is fucking insane. Like, here's the thing. Most fans I know don't really hold Marth up on a pedestal. They just think he's kind of okay. Myself included. But most fans would agree that just having him just suddenly show up and say, "Hi, I'm here," and that's basically the extent of it, is wrong. It's complete with Navarre being a dick, and putting a giant bullseye on the fact that, yeah, we're getting child Tiki and not adult Tiki. Whatever. Speaking of dumb, Darius' portrayal is just lame as it comes out of nowhere, and it's just annoying as it is obvious that the Chaos Dragon has taken control by that point, complete with his eyes glowing, by the way. Hey, And then there's of course the twins just believing that he's still good, which is just, you didn't fucking earn that game. And it removes the potential character development they could go through. So yeah, that's a triple negative. God damn it. And then Yelena being alive is just there because why not have a fake out? That was also spoiled by the end of the premonition, by the way. Ugh. And then there's Ronan and Leanne giving up for all of frickin' 10 seconds, which is just... Ugh, really? And then Darius' death is pointless melodrama. And then Endgame also tries to be a nice wrap-up, but it just fails miserably because all the characters are saying, we're saying goodbye now. Oh, even though we're still in the battle fighting. Fucking excuse you? Ugh. And then despite the niceness of the ending, I gave the outro a triple negative. And then for the DLC, I gave Tharja's victory animation a negative. For the exact same reason I gave Camilla's victory animation a positive. I honestly feel like Tharja's victory animation misunderstands her character. There are some people who claim that Tharja is a bit of the fan service character. Let me go ahead and correct this misconception. Tharja was not a fan service character. She was a character that the fans waifu'd up hard. Like, seriously. The closest she came to being fan service was that one scene in the DLC, which, with the way it was censored in the English version, had some interesting implications that, of course, fanfic writers took and ran with, but let's not get into that. Like, for a minute, I don't think she should be staring at us, as in the viewers, and looking at us seductively while sticking her ass out. She should be looking at Robin and doing that, right? Because her obsession is with Robin, not with us, not with the player. Even as a meta thing, that's no. Like, if she did that in Awakening, you could kind of dance around that. But no. Here in Warriors, no. 73 negatives to the frickin' story. Now let's move on to the gameplay positives. There were a few more this time. Not much more, only 14. I felt the music, the HUD, and the minimap were good. Pair up, really great mechanic, loved it. Level select variant of New Game Plus. That worked well. While the grind is tedious, being able to spend gold to level characters is nice and a welcome addition. The log for rereading and rehearing dialogue within combat that has been skipped. That's not bad. There's some good info in game, admittedly. The difficulty curve in story mode is surprisingly well done, as is the power progression curve. Mostly. Wow, you know what? I'll stand behind 2 positives for that mechanic, because I actually do think it's actually really well handled. The Viscerality got a positive, History Mode got a positive, and Chapter 12. Is one of the few good maps in the whole game. The act of balancing out the two the balancing act against the two armies is actually fun. Now let's get into the 67 negatives. Oh boy. Okay, So, on the gameplay front, I gave the roster a triple negative. I hate this roster with every fiber of my being, and again, I already said why. The Fates worship. Ugh. Load times are atrocious, there's just way too many of them. The tutorials are downright insulting, and on default settings are just downright intrusive. So triple negative there. The tutorialization is just god-awful across the goddamn board. History mode is as awesome as it is awful. That was a positive and negative scenario. Support grinding is absolutely fucking pointless. First, each pairing that has one only has one scene, and it's not every pairing, which is just wow, what the fuck. Second, said scene only unlocks at the A rank, and third, not every pairing has a scene, which I actually just said. In fact, most don't, and even some that would be interesting or make sense also don't. Which is just, what the fuck, you know? So triple negative there. Level grinding was also a triple negative because it takes forever to really level your characters, and considering history mode starts requiring that pretty quickly, yeah. Which actually leads to a fourth negative for grinding. I find the characterization to be the itemization, to be god awful. The enemy variety is lacking. I feel there is bad encounter design, bosses having way too much HP in the late game. Not that the boss design was good to begin with, so yeah, I feel it was pretty shit. The unit variety is piss poor. I don't feel like they balanced this roster out, even weapon-wise, which just adds to the problem. Triple negative there. Combat dialogue constantly interrupted if you have the slow and steady style on, which is just wow. Audio spam. Oh boy. So I mulled over this and I ended up giving 9 negatives to audio spam. The fact that it's basically combat, that the constantly spamming it in the menus, and then the condescending nature of the voice clips, because there's plenty of times where you'll go back to the main menu and whoever your system voice is will say, "This is a good time to take a break. Hey, or play this in a well-lit room and away from the screen." Constantly. And it was just really bad. Gameplay story segregation. Nation is here too. Also, the gameplay is also badly paced and padded to hell. So, yeah. Hate that. With history mode having its own pacing issues and its own padding issues. So that's 6 for each on that one. God, 51 presentation negatives. So bad. Ugh. Then there's the intro mission, which is just kind of awful as it constantly bombards you with terrible tutorials, dirt simple enemies, and is just overall a terrible intro. So triple negative there. And then the intro in general is a negative. While none of the chapters before it are that great, none of them are all that awful, right up until chapter 14. If you want the Animomento, you have to know what you're doing, and Darius gets in the way gets into way too much trouble for it to be fun. I also didn't like going through chapter 15 with all the fake garnets. I also kind of find chapter 20 to be boring and an insane difficulty spike. Even though that could have literally been endgame if it wasn't just padding incarnate. Speaking of endgame, I really don't like it as a final battle. because of the audio spam just being ear poison and isn't even in this chapter. Then fighting the Chaos Dragon himself is a sloggy, overblown fight with way too much HP, and the fact that he ignores bonus damage is just the cherry on top of this shit cake. Which also led to a triple negative for both that fight and the outro. Ugh. Yeah. I am already exhausted just going through that. If it seemed like I was racing through that, I've already said my piece on the stream. God, I hate this game. And I basically never have to touch it again. Thank fuck. So, that's it. That's where that's it for Fire Emblem Warriors. This, I hope this was a better rating video than the last one. It's at least more cohesive because holy crap, that rating video I did that started this whole playlist of rating videos, I'm going to have to basically take that thumbnail and just like put a redo over it. Do it because that's basically what this is, the redone version of that old rating video. Which is funny because I think this might actually be shorter now that I'm thinking about it. Let's see. Oh yeah, it took me an hour and 17 minutes to go through the whole thing. It took me an hour and 17 minutes to go through that. Oh, god damn. Damn, that just sucked. I've gotten a few likes on some of my rating videos, which is actually kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Regardless of any of that, though, that's it. That's it. I've said my piece. I said my piece on the stream. Hey, you can actually watch this stream, so that's cool. I am not going to delete the old one, but I am going to just say, redo on this one. So, that's it. That's all I got. Next up on the rating video docket. Actually, what's funny is I skipped one, didn't I? I didn't do Valkyria Chronicles. So, from my perspective, it's going to be Valkyria Chronicles. From your perspective, it's going to be, oh, wait. You're actually going to get Halo Reach first. Oops. Wow. I skipped ahead. Okay. So, yeah, from your perspective, next is going to be the Castlevanias. I've just done this completely out of order. Oops. Well, regardless, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. See you later.